Okay, I want you to try a little experiment with me right now. Wherever you are, just find a piece of text.
Uh-huh.
Could be anything. A street sign, a label on your coffee cup, or, just the description for this deep dive on your screen. You got something.
Yep, I'm looking at my notes right here.
Okay, here's the challenge. I want you to look at a word, but only see the lines. See the ink, the curves, the geometry.
Okay.
But do not, under any circumstances, read the word. Don't let your brain tell you what it means. Can you do it?
No, not a chance. It's instantaneous. The second my eyes hit the shape, the meaning is just.
Yeah.
It's there, like a reflex.
And that reflex is exactly what we are taking apart today. We're doing a deep dive into a really comprehensive review called Visual Word Recognition, From Features to Meaning by Bellotta, Yap, and Cortese.
Right.
We are cracking open the black box of reading.
Yeah, black box is, that's the perfect term, because if you tried to logically engineer how reading should work, you'd build a system that's slow and clunky and methodical.
Step by step.
Exactly. Yeah. But the human brain, it cheats. It guesses. It almost hallucinates details that aren't even there.
That's the mission for today. We aren't just talking about literacy. We're getting into the specific, mechanical, and often totally counterintuitive cognitive gears that turn these, squiggly lines into big ideas in milliseconds.
It's a journey from the retina all the way up to the mind.
And we're going to look at three main layers: how we see the letters, then how we turn that into sound, and the huge debate around that, and finally, all the subconscious tricks our brain plays.
And that first stop, just the raw input, is arguably the most confusing part.
So let's start right there with the features. When I look at the letter H, I assume I'm seeing an H. But this source material says I'm not really seeing a letter at all.
Right. Not at first. You have to go back to this idea called the pandemonium model.
Pandemonium!
Yeah, from Selfridge back in 1959. It's a great name because it imagines your brain as this chaotic room full of little demons all shouting at each other.
Demons. Okay.
Well, feature detectors, really. The idea is you don't have an H detector. You have a vertical line detector and a horizontal line detector. So when you look at an H, the vertical demon screams, "I see a vertical line." And the horizontal demon screams, "Me too!"
And this isn't just a metaphor, is it? There's actual biology behind this.
Oh, completely. Hubble and Wiesel won a Nobel Prize for this. Yeah. They found specific cells in the visual cortex that only fire when they see a line at a very specific angle.
Wow.
So we know, biologically, the brain breaks images down into these little feature components.
Okay, so then here's my logical assumption. If reading is this construction project, step 1, see lines, step 2, build letters, step 3, build words,
Right.
then I should be much faster at identifying a single letter than a whole word. One brick has to be faster to identify than a whole wall.
That is the logical assumption. If the system is strictly bottom-up, building from the ground floor up, a single letter is less data. It should be faster.
But I'm getting the feeling logic doesn't quite apply here.
Not even a little bit. This is the word superiority effect. It was shown by Riker in 1969, and it really just upset the whole apple cart.
Okay, so walk us through the experiment.
All right, so imagine you're sitting at a computer. I flash something on the screen for just a few milliseconds. It's either the letter K all by itself or the word work.
Yeah.
And then instantly, I mask it and ask you, did you see a D or a K?
And the result?
People are significantly more accurate at identifying the K when it's hidden inside the word work than when it's just sitting there on its own.
Wait, that defies physics. That's like saying I can spot a face in a crowd faster than I can spot that same face in an empty room. How does adding more stuff, the W, the O, the R, make the K easier to see?
Because your brain isn't just building from the bottom up.
Yeah.
It's cascaded. This is the interactive activation model from McClellan and Rumelhart. Think of it like a waterfall that flows both ways.
So the top of the waterfall is feeding the bottom.
Exactly. Top-down processing. As soon as your brain gets just a fuzzy hint that the word might be work, the word level in your brain gets all excited.
Right.
It sends a signal back down to the letter level. It's basically shouting, "Hey, we think we're looking at work, so you guys down there, you better be finding a K in that fourth slot."
So the word's context, essentially, what hallucinates the letter into sharper focus.
In a way, yeah. It boosts the activation of the K detector. When the K is all alone, it doesn't get that help. It's unsupported. It has to rely only on the raw visual data.
That is wild. So we don't just build words from letters. The words actually help us see the letters.
The context creates the reality. And that's just the visual shape. Now you have to do something even harder. You have to pronounce it.
Turn the spelling into sound.
Yep. Orthography to phonology.
And this is where I feel like we just have to apologize for the English language.
Oh, English is what linguists call an opaque language. It's a complete mess. If we were speaking, say, Spanish or Serbo-Croatian, this part of our deep dive would be 10 seconds long.
Because it's one-to-one. See a letter, say the sound.
Exactly. But in English, we have the pint problem, P-I-N-T.
The classic example.
It is. I mean, look at the neighbors of that word. You have mint, hint, lint, tinty. They all follow a rule. They all rhyme. Logic says pint should rhyme with mint.
But if I walk into a pub and ask for a pint of beer, I'm going to get some very strange looks.
Exactly. Pint breaks the rule. And English is just full of these. Yacht, choir, colonel. So the big question for researchers was, how does the brain handle this?
How do I look at hint and say it one way and then immediately look at pint and say it another?
Right.
Well, if I were designing a computer for this, I'd give it two systems. A rule book for all the regular stuff, the mints and the hints, and then a separate dictionary for the exceptions, the pints and the yachts.
And that is precisely the dual root model. It's one of the dominant theories. Root 1 is the assembled route. That's your rule book. It's great for new words.
Like a nonsense word.
Exactly. If I write down blark, you've never seen it, but you can read it instantly. You just use the rules.
But that root 1 fails on pint. It would make me say it wrong.
Right. So the dual root model says you must have a root 2, the lexical root. This is a direct lookup. You see the whole shape of the word pint. Match it to a saved entry in your mental dictionary and pull out the pronunciation pint.
You bypass the rules.
Bypass them entirely.
That seems like a perfect, open and shut case. Two roads for two types of words. And I guess this explains some forms of dyslexia.
It does, yeah. You have surface dyslexia, where people can read a nonsense word like blark just fine. The rules are intact, but they can't read pint.
The dictionary is broken.
Essentially. They try to sound it out and they fail. And then you have the reverse.
Which would be?
Phonological dyslexia. They can read point perfectly because they've memorized it. But you show them a new word like blark and they're stumped. They can't apply the rules.
Okay, so why is there even a debate then? That sounds like the answer.
Because there's this whole other group of scientists, the connectionists, people like Seidenberg and McClelland, who come along and say, we don't think the brain has a rule book or a dictionary.
That's a bold claim. If I don't have rules or a dictionary, what do I have?
You have a network, just one massive single neural network. Think of it like modern AI.
Yeah.
There are no explicit rules programmed into something like ChatGPT, right? It just learns from seeing billions and billions of examples. The connectionists argue our brain is the same. We don't store rules. We just store connection weights between neurons.
So it's all about the training data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And their big piece of evidence is this interaction between frequency and regularity.
All right, let's unpack that. Frequency is how often we see a word. Regularity is whether it follows the rules.
Right. So take the word have-y, H-A-V-E. It's an irregular word. It should rhyme with cavy or wave. But do you ever hesitate when you read it?
Never. It's instant.
And why? Because it's incredibly high frequency. You see it thousands of times a year. In the connectionist view, your network has been trained on that specific pattern so heavily that the connection is like a superhighway.
It overrides the irregularity.
Easily. But P&T is rare.
It's low frequency.
So the network hasn't been trained enough on that weird pattern. It's more of a dirt road than a highway. So when you see P&T, the network struggles because the standard pattern, the Minthint pattern, is just so much stronger.
So the dual root folks are saying you're switching between two different systems, and the connectionists are saying, no, it's all one system. It's just a battle between how often you see a word and how weird its spelling is.
Precisely. And this leads to the idea that reading isn't just retrieval, it's a competitive process. It's a fight.
Which brings us to my favorite concept in this entire paper, the idea that words live in neighborhoods.
Orthographic neighborhoods. Yeah, this comes from Coulthard. It's basically a way of measuring how similar a word is to other words. A neighbor is any word you can make by changing just one letter.
So let's take fall, F-A-L-L.
Okay, so change the F to a B, you get ball. Change it to a C, you get call. Change the A to an E, you get fell. Fall lives in a very dense neighborhood, a ton of neighbors.
Now, my intuition says living in a crowded neighborhood would be confusing. If I'm looking for fall and ball and call are all crowding around, shouldn't that slow me down?
You would think so. But it turns out, for low-frequency words, having a lot of neighbors actually helps. It speeds you up.
How? Why?
Think of it like a choir. You see the word fall. Your brain also partly activates ball, call, and wall. And because they all sound the same and look so similar, they create this massive amount of sort of global activation.
Ah, like an echo chamber.
Exactly. It amplifies the signal. Like everyone's shouting, yes, we're all looking at an egg-all word.
But wait a minute. Not all neighbors are good neighbors.
Correct. You have friends and you have enemies.
I love that terminology.
It's great, isn't it? Friends are consistent. So Spoon has neighbors like moon, noon, soon. They all agree on the pronunciation. They help each other out.
And the enemies.
Take the word spook. Its neighbors are book, took, look.
Oh, I see. Spook. Book. They don't rhyme.
They're enemies. So when you look at spook, your brain partially activates book, and book starts shouting, hey, pronounce the double O like, ugh.
But spook is trying to say, no, no, pronounce it like, ooh.
Oh, and inside your head, in just a few milliseconds, there is a literal shouting match happening between words.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Reading is a process of resolving conflict. You're suppressing the neighbors that are lying to you and amplifying the ones that are helping.
It makes reading feel, I don't know, very active, very violent almost.
It is. It's not just absorbing information, it's filtering out a ton of noise.
And it gets even messier. The paper brings up the transposed letter effect, which really challenges this idea that we read neatly from left to right.
Is this the slat and salt thing?
Yes, exactly. If I show you the word slat, S-L-A-T, it takes you longer to recognize it than a control word.
But slat is a real word, like a wooden slat.
It is. But look at those letters. S-L-A-T. Your brain sees those letters and it immediately screams salt.
Even though the letters are in the wrong order.
The order's close enough. Your brain's position coding is surprisingly flexible. And the pattern for salt is so much stronger. It's a way higher frequency word that it basically bullies SLAT.
It interferes.
Right. Your brain has to do an extra check and say, wait, no, the L is before the A. This isn't salt. And that check takes time.
So we are constantly predicting, constantly guessing based on what we expect to see.
Which is the perfect segue into priming. Because if you think that slat salt thing is weird, priming suggests we might not even be in control of these predictions.
Priming is one of those concepts from psychology that just makes me question free will.
It is a bit unnerving. The basic concept, semantic priming, is simple. If I show you the word doctor and then immediately show you the word nurse, you'll recognize nurse faster than if I'd shown you bread first.
Because doctor sort of warms up the nurse concept in my brain.
It's called spreading activation. Imagine your mental dictionary is this huge web. When you touch the doctor node, energy just ripples out to everything connected to it. Nurse, hospital, needle, they all get a head start.
The paper mentioned mediated priming too, which I thought was fascinating. The ripple goes out 2 steps.
Right. So if I show you lion, it actually speeds up your recognition of stripes.
But lions don't have stripes.
No, but lion activates tiger, and tiger activates stripes. Your brain makes that jump across the network just instantaneously.
Okay, that I can accept. That's just efficient filing. But the part that really got me was masked priming. This is where it goes from efficient to kind of spooky.
This is the entry opening phenomenon. Researchers set up an experiment where they flash a prime word like nurse for maybe 30 milliseconds, and they immediately cover it with a hash pattern.
And that's way too fast to see, right?
Consciously, yes. If I ask you what you saw, you'll say a flicker or nothing. You certainly won't say, I saw the word nurse.
Okay.
But then I show you the word doctor. And guess what?
You recognize it faster.
Significantly faster, even though you had no conscious awareness of seeing nurse.
So your brain decoded the features, resolved the letters, accessed the meaning, and spread the activation to doctor, all without me ever knowing a word was there.
That's it. It implies that meaning happens before consciousness.
Consciousness is just the monitor at the end of the assembly line.
Pretty much. All the real work, the reading, the understanding, it's happening in the dark.
That is terrifyingly cool. We are processing semantic information all the time, completely beneath our own radar.
We can see this in brain scans now. The review talks about fMRI and PT studies where we can see the visual areas light up, the phonological areas light up. We can even see the struggle with those enemy neighbors we mentioned.
You can see the fight.
Literally.
Yeah.
The left inferior frontal gyrus works harder when you read a low-frequency, inconsistent word. You can see the brain burning more energy to solve that PNET versus MINT conflict.
So let's just recap the machine we've built. We have feature detectors that hallucinate letters based on context. We have a neural network, or maybe 2 routes, battling it out to pronounce words. We've got neighbors shouting at each other. And a subconscious system pulling out meaning before we even know we're looking at a word.
That's the one.
It sounds like a runaway train. Is
Yeah.
anyone driving this thing? Is there any kind of control?
There is. And this is the final and maybe most practical piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
It's attention and control. The researchers talk about something called the time criterion.
This was the study about the lists. This one really stuck with me.
It's a fascinating finding. Imagine I give you a list of words to read. Half are easy, high-frequency words like cat or house.
Okay.
The other half are really difficult, complex non-words or just very rare words.
So logic would say I should zip through cat and house and then just slow down for the hard ones.
But you don't. You slow down on the easy words, too.
I slow down on cat, even though I can read it instantly.
Yes. Your brain assesses the whole environment. It realizes, okay, this is a difficult list. There are traps in here. So it sets a global rhythm or a time criterion. It decides to hold back its response on everything, just in case.
So we're not just mechanical processors, we're strategic. We adjust our own idle speed based on how choppy the water is.
Exactly. We have a control mechanism that basically says, don't trust the first guess. Double check it when the context is difficult.
So what does this all mean? We've pulled apart this black box and seen all the gears.
I think for me, the biggest takeaway is just how incredibly active the process of reading is. We tend to think of it as passive reception. I look at a page and the information just flows into me.
Right. But that's not true at all.
No, it's a construction site. Your brain is filling in gaps, it's resolving conflicts between neighbors, it's predicting what's coming next, and it's suppressing all the wrong answers, all in milliseconds. The fact that it feels effortless is the greatest magic trick the brain pulls off.
It really changes how you look at a page of text. You realize there is a war going on in there.
A very quiet, very, very fast war.
I want to leave you with one final thought, something to chew on based on that time criterion we just discussed.
The idea that we slow our own processing down based on the hardest things in a list.
Right. Now think about how we consume information today. Think about your social media feed. You're scrolling, you see a meme, super simple, then a dense political headline complex, a photo of a cat simple, a scientific abstract incredibly complex.
It's the ultimate mixed list environment. That's a really interesting point.
If that time criterion idea holds true, does that mean our brains are automatically slowing down to match the difficulty of the hardest things we see? By mixing simple and complex content in one stream, or are we, training ourselves to process simple information inefficiently?
Or maybe the reverse. We speed up for the memes and then fail to properly engage with the complex stuff. We could be messing with our own internal metronome.
Just something to think about the next time you find yourself doom scrolling. Are you letting your brain find its rhythm?
Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
See you next time. Go give your feature detectors a break. Bye.